Boogeyman is actually opening up this Friday. This is another horror film. Horror movies are doing really well right now in theaters. Smile did a lot of money. The Black Phone. This is based on a short story by Stephen King. Chris Messina plays a father in the film who's dealing with a boogeyman that is terrorizing his children in the house. It's a very, very scary concept that we all know about when we were kids. We would watch horror movies, have our parents check under the beds or check the closets.
Or sleep with your parents.
Right.
That's what I used to do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I
still check under my bed when I come home.
Yeah. I honestly check my closet a lot. And Chris Messina, I talked to him about the film. He plays a therapist in the movie. We talked about what movies scared him as a kid, whether or not he would sneak out and check out his closet and under his bed as a kid as well, but also a theatrical experience that meant a lot to him. And since he plays a therapist in the film, we talk about destigmatizing mental health and more. Take a look.
Okay, get in here. I don't know how you sleep with all these lights. What are you scared of? I don't see anything. Okay, monster check complete.
As I'm watching this film, it brought me back to memories as a kid because I would watch horror films and then not be able to sleep. I would go in my brother's room and sleep with him because I was so freaked out or had my parents. I wanted to ask, like, what was that for you growing up? Did you, like, if you got scared, did you sleep with your parents? Did you go siblings? Like, I always went to my brother's room, but
you know, my brother and I shared a room together, so I got to have him. We had a ritual after we saw Friday the 13th, way too young, where we would just check under the bed. That would be the nighttime thing. But the first Stephen King film I saw was Cujo, and that scared the hell out of me and made me scared of dogs for the longest time.
As a kid, horror movies were always the best things to see in theaters because the communal experience of them was so special. There was something about an energy. And even nowadays, horror movies are doing so well, like Smile and The Black Phone. Like, all these movies are making so much money because people love to sit in a theater and watch something with other people. For you growing up, what was your favorite theatrical experience? It doesn't have to be a horror movie. It could be something that you just remember being communal, something that was important to you that you go, this is why I love going to the movies.
Yeah, I mean, so many of them, you know. I mean, I would think like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know. So many experiences in the movie theater where I would drive home and pretend I was the character. And yeah, I mean, that's why I'm sitting here lucky talking to you today. It's my love of movies and the fact that this one is actually coming out in a theater. We're super excited about it.
You know, your character's dealing with therapy and things like that. And I've been in therapy since I was 14, just to be on a personal note. And I think nowadays, it feels like it's a lot more destigmatized to talk about mental health and where we are. But playing a character like this in a film, does it give you a certain perspective of maybe how far we've come to be able to talk about problems that we all have and go to therapy? It should be a normalized thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, growing up, it was like there was something wrong with you if you had to go to therapy. But you know, obviously, that's not true at all. Yeah, it was great getting into the mindset of that. It was also interesting getting into the mindset because when I read the script, I was not knowing much about therapy. Only someone that's been in it, but not from the therapist's point of view. I was questioning, how come this guy's so bad with his kids, but seems to be a pretty good therapist? And I talked to a bunch of therapists that said, oh, that's the case. We can work with other people. We have a hard time with ourselves. So that was really interesting to me.
All right, that is The Boogeyman, Chris Messina. You might also know him from a lot of great Ben Affleck movies. He was in Argo, a bunch of great films, but also most recently in Ben Affleck's movie Air. He played David Falk, the agent of Michael Jordan, and kind of the guy who's going back and forth with Matt Damon over the phone. They have a lot of great sequences in that film, but Chris Messina is an amazing actor. The Boogeyman opens up this week, and we're going to have more from the cast coming up later this week as well.
Okay, I loved Air, by the way.
Me too.
I know we already talked about Air. We weeks ago, but it was so good. I watched it twice, back to back.
I have to see that.
Yeah,
and we had Chris Tucker, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Marlon Wayans on for that. If you want to go to find those interviews, go to fox5dc.com. Affleck was a great interview. You can find all those interviews there.
As for the Boogeyman, I don't know.
I'm scared of
You're too scared.
watching that. I'll be checking under my bed before bed tonight now, so thanks.
I'll sleep with the lights on.
I used to always go in my brother's room.
Yeah.
My brother's, like he was 2 years younger than me. I would freak out. And he had the smallest bed. And we
And you would cuddle up.
Cuddle up, like very, very, like,
That's cute.
yeah.
That's
So
what
that
big
was,
siblings are for.
yeah, that's the
You know
way,
what I mean?
well, no, I was the one who needed help. Like he was the younger one.
Poltergeist
never
ruined it for
mind.
me as a kid.
What's up?
Poltergeist?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
scary.
That
Don't
was
show that to a
PG movie. That's
7-year-old.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest.
Yeah.